It's quite the find. Hello friends, and welcome back to Crow's Thrifty Finds. My name is Melanie. So today I'm going to talk to you about recent sales. These sales have been numerous. I have been selling a lot of stuff. I've also been listing very regularly, so that definitely helps. I always try to list 5 listings per day as long as I've got 5 items, which I typically do as I've been sourcing a lot this time of year. So let's talk about these sales. There's a lot to go through. I'm going to try to go through them as quickly as possible, so not to waste any of your very valuable time, but it's good to know what's selling on eBay right now, what you can get for these items, and what are some items that maybe you wouldn't think sell well. So let's talk. First off, we have this McDonald's clock. I paid $10 for this at Goodwill. There was a bunch of McDonald's stuff. It must have been a collector that had passed away or just gave up their collection. But this clock sold for $50. It sat for a little while, not too long, but that's a good $40 profit. And I typically do charge for shipping in most cases. Next, we have My Little Ponies. This was an auction that I did. When I get lots of G1 vintage My Little Ponies, I like to do auctions because I find that they get the max value that way. I don't often do auctions with items unless they're very certain items or an item that I'm not sure of the value, but I put the minimum that I'll take. So I paid $6 for these at a garage sale, and I sold them, as you can see, for $94. So that is an $88 profit before shipping. Next, we have a Juicy Couture makeup bag. This is vintage-ish. I think it's Y2K time period. I paid probably about a quarter for these for this at the bins, and as you can see, it sold for $23. So that is a pretty good profit of $22.75 before eBay fees. Next, these things sat for a long time, but as you can see, they're banged up. I bought these as part of a lot that I purchased of toys on shopgoodwill.com. I'm much in the green on this, so this is just money in my pocket straight. I sold these for $30. I had to keep lowering the price, but that's $30 before eBay fees in my pocket. Next, we have an Elmo Nutcracker. Kind of a random item, right? But Christmas items are selling. I paid $5 for this. It sold for $27. So that is a nice $22 profit before eBay fees. Next, we have an item from the trash, from the curb when I did the big trash pickup in my city. So got this for free. Sold it for $22. You can price low and competitively when you've got nothing into it. So yeah, $22 is what it sold for. Next, we have a shirt from 1996 from Bike Week. I purchased this not very long ago at all at a garage sale for $2. It sold for $35, $33 profit. And you will see another shirt from that same garage sale later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. And that one's an even bigger profit. Next, we have Elf on the Shelf. This is an outfit. I paid $5 for this. It sat a long time. It went through the holidays last year. Nobody bought it. But the good news is it did sell now for $25, but it did not fly off the shelves by any means, but a $20 profit before eBay fees. I'll take it. Next, kind of an unlikely bolo. These Disney Babies cardboard books. There was a big lot of these, as you can see. I'm pretty sure it was complete. I paid $5 for this at a garage sale not too long ago at all. Sold it for $39, so that's a nice $34 profit. Next, we have some whiskey decanters. I went through this weird phase where I was buying whiskey decanters a bunch, but I didn't really know how great they sell, but sometimes I just like to experiment with things. This experiment did not go very well. These were the first whiskey decanters that I have sold. These are Old Crow Chessman whiskey decanters. People buy these. It's just the collector's market is not large, apparently. But I paid $8 for the pair. They sold for $27. $19 profit. I'll take it. So the next item, I'm actually going to group with the following two items after it as well. So I was at a garage sale and there was a container with a bunch of pickup truck toys, ATVs, little hunter guy figures, accessories. I know these are expensive because I've bought them new for my son. So I knew this was a pretty good deal, but I feel like it's kind of one of those things that people might overlook at a sale. These are newer toys, but do not overlook them. They are quick sellers. They're easy sellers. Price them right. They will go. These all sold very quickly. So these are all part of the lot. First, we have this truck ATV lot. This is by Treehouse Kids. It's sold for $23. Then next we have a lot of ATVs and boats. I didn't charge a lot for these, $16, but somebody bought them very soon after I listed them. Kids want these kind of toys, so, you know, there's people looking for them. Next, we have a black Dodge Ram truck and ATV combination lot that I put together. That sold for $25. So if you add it all up, I spent $10 on the whole thing. The total came to about $64 for everything. And again, everything sold fast, so $54 profit. Not too shabby. Next, I was very excited to pick these up. These vintage Halloween cardboard decorations. They're from the 80s. And I bought them at Goodwill. I think I paid like $24 or something for all of them. Goodwill had them priced up a little bit, but not terrible. But they sold for $85, which is great. And I made a $61 profit. They did not stay on the shelves very long at all. Next, Super Wings. This is a kids show, decently new show. I bought a lot of these figures for $5. They sold for $30, $25. So it's not always about vintage toys, everybody. Sometimes there's newer toys that are just not as easy to find that kids want. So it helps being a mom and knowing these things because my kids have wanted these toys. But just for you all to know, in case you don't have small children, that if you see Super Wings stuff like this, pick it up because people want it. Another kids show that's still on to this day, Blaze and the Monster Machines. I have mentioned their die-cast monster trucks before. They sell great in lots. This is a pretty rare track set. This is the Blaze Animal Island stunt track. Pretty rare. So I actually only paid $1 for this thing at a garage sale, and it had the Blaze car, though I don't think it was the original one to the set. But yeah, made some pretty good money there, $34 before eBay fees. Next, we have a Pink Floyd vintage shirt. This is a Wonderland brand shirt, good 90s vintage. However, as you can see, it's cut off. They cut the sleeves off, darn it. Would have been worth so much more if it had the sleeves, because you have to have a very specific buyer that wants a shirt like this that's already been essentially, you know, torn up. So it sat, and it sat, and it sat, and it sat. And I finally sold it for $33. I only paid, I think, $2 for it. So it's still, a $31 profit. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I wish it had the sleeves. Next, did you guys know that blue blockers still sell? Do you remember blue blockers? Well, I picked up a pair. They had the case in the original box. I paid $5 for them at Goodwill. Sold them for $30. Nice $25 profit. Next, I have a vintage Easton metal baseball bat. This went overseas. I paid $4 for it, sold it for $40, $36 profit. It's hard to imagine that these big, heavy vintage baseball bats sell, but they do. Do not overlook them. Really, baseball bats of any kind are good to look at. I'm on a baseball bat buying kick because I figure either my kids use them or I sell them. So I buy baseball bats as long as they're priced reasonably whenever I see them. As long as they're decent ones, of course. You gotta look them up and see the comps just to be sure. Next, this game is a Civil War game. This is kind of one of those games for adults, not so much a kid game. And the good thing about that is usually when you find these games, they're complete. They're in good shape. And that was the case here. There was a lot of pieces, but I sold it for $45. I paid $5 at Goodwill. So that's a nice $40 profit. Next, I featured this in a video not too long ago, these Fisher-Price nights. I think I paid $11 or $12 for the whole container of action figures. Many of them are vintage. These are vintage. I sold these for $33, $22 profit. I wish I had paid a little less for the lot, but it kind of is what it is, and maybe I'll sell some of the other figures in there too. Some of them are listed, but just haven't sold yet. So we'll see. Maybe more money to be gained off of that, but at least now I'm in the green. Next, very awesome item. You always want to pick these up if they're priced reasonably. These Bose Wave radios, they sell like hotcakes. So I paid actually only $10 for this, possibly even less. I know it was very minimal to the point that I was like, do they even know what this item is? But it sounds incredible. I actually held on to it and kept it and used it for a little while. And then I decided, you know what? I'm not using it enough to keep it. So I listed it. It sold very quickly for $160, and I made really good money on that. Next, a Sony VCR. Paid $10 for this at a garage sale. Sold it for $50. Nice $40 profit. You can't go wrong with Sony VCRs as long as they work. They're great pickups. Next, this was featured in a previous video, these Y2K stickers, this big lot that I got. I paid $1 for these, and I looked at them and I had that little voice in my head that told me, you need to pick that up. I think those are going to sell really well. I think I've heard about that at some point. And I was correct. They did not sit long at all. I sold them for $32. So that's a nice $31 profit before eBay fees. Next, we have another shirt from that garage sale where I got the awesome vintage shirts, this Mighty Ducks shirt. This thing had stains on it, you know, but it was such an unusual shirt. A collector bought it, and I was so thankful. I love when collectors buy items because more than likely they're not going to wear them, so size isn't going to be a big deal. And he had told me that he just collects Mighty Duck stuff. There's a lot of people who do, and he had never seen this shirt before. And he said he doesn't usually pay this much, but just because of how rare it is, he's going to do it because he just had to have it. So love selling to collectors, my favorite people. So I paid $2 for that shirt. It sold for $90. So that's an $88 profit. Great sale. Next, we have a Marlboro cigarettes shirt. I paid $4 for this at a garage sale by my lake place. Cigarette stuff sells. This shirt was single stitch, very rare. First single stitch I ever found in the wild, and I've been reselling for many, 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 many years. So to have that long go by without a single stitch shirt, it goes to show that you can't find vintage shirts like this out in the wild too often. But yeah, I paid $4 for it. It sold for $64. That was a great $60 profit. I was so excited. And just a reminder to you all, I would love for you to like this video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. It's very helpful. And that concludes my video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been some great sales lately. My summer's been very good on eBay. It typically is just because I source the most, find the most, list the most. The more you list, the more you sell. It's just a thing. That's just how the eBay algorithm works. But yeah, that's it for this week. My name is Melanie. This is Crow's Thrifty Finds. I'll see you next week.